So if we are in alignment with Source, what I've heard before is
when we are in alignment.
As we become in alignment in Source and we are in a moment in alignment with Source, they say don't mingle with people who have the plague for fear that you may get it as well. So if you do have and you are in connection with Source, should you not fear being around these people because they'll draw from you? Would you fear that they would take from your Source energy? Or
we wouldn't test the theory till we're sure about our alignment. Just the word plague sort of takes you into that, maybe I should.
Absolutely.
I think I'm tuned in, tapped in, turned on, but the word plague makes me not really sure about this. In other words, you got to know, but when you are in alignment, you will not go where there is not value for you and for others. In other words, that alignment does trump everything. It does. Alignment trumps everything. But give yourself an opportunity to trust your own alignment. Even those who are most aligned or most often aligned sometimes have moments of doubt, but that's what we're calling that step 5 living, where there is contrast that helps you to know more clearly what you're asking for. If there is to be progress, and there always is, there is eternal expansion. And if you are eternal, and you are, then there must be that which causes you to ask for more, you see. Another thing happens when you start seeking your alignment first, rather than recognition of what you're accomplishing with someone else. When what you really care about is alignment, being tapped in, being in the receptive mode, receiving ideas. When what you really care about is the exhilaration of living life like that, where ideas are coming and you get to be out there on the leading edge, where you're watching the improvements as a result of the ideas that formulated in your own mind coming about. That's what you're really reaching for. In other words, you are far more than those who just came to solve problems. You have come for the joy and the exhilaration of riding that wave of eternal expansion and solution. And so let's put solution and expansion in exactly the same category. And could there be a solution if there wasn't a problem? So let's not make the problem a bad thing. Let's make it an inquisitive thing. Let's make it a clarifying thing. Let's make it something worth looking at, something worth thinking about. Because you can look right at problems and feel empowerment when you are looking through the eyes of Source. Source doesn't cringe at problems, you see. But Source is not asserting into this time-space reality. Source is inspiring into this time-space reality. And you are the receivers of the inspiration, you see. Play your role and enjoy the life experience that you've come to live. Sometimes people think, well, if I could just get over there, then I would be happy. And we say, no, you won't. No, you won't. It's on the way over there that feels really good, but when you get there, there's going to be more contrast that's going to make you want to be over there. And when you get over there, there's going to be more contrast that's going to make you want to be over there and over there and over there. So if you think you've got to be satisfied once and for all, it's never going to happen. You've got to accept the eternal nature of that which we all are.
Abraham, do you have emotional feelings or these natures that we do as humans have? Jealousy, anger, happiness, excitement?
Because of our vibrational discipline would be the best way to say it.
Okay.
We do not have any emotions that you would describe in those negative terms. However, there is always a variance in emotion, because there is always guidance, because there is always more. So even for those like us, we are still reaching with you for more, and we are disciplined in our attention to what we are focused upon in order to move toward what is wanted rather than toward what is. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
From your physical time-space reality vantage point, you could not perceive the vibrational variance in what we are perceiving. Whether the range of emotions is agony and joy, or whether it's more joy and a little less joy, it is irrelevant, because it's only the perceiver that's utilizing the guidance. It really doesn't matter. One day Esther was watching something sort of like what you were describing about a plight that was happening to people in another part of the world, and as she watched it, she was so upset she couldn't stay standing. As she was walking through the room, she actually sat down. She could not stand how she was feeling. And she said, Abraham, if I feel this bad just watching that on television, what must it be like for those people who are living it? And we said, they don't feel as bad right now as you do, because they are accustomed to that range of emotions. In other words, they've acclimated to what they're living. And so what they're living and what they're wanting isn't as far apart as what you're watching them live and what you're wanting for them. So Esther had much more gap in her vibrational emotional scale as she was focused upon them than they did, you see. And so what we want you to hear from us is that the range or the degree of the gap is not so important as the awareness that there is one. And as you become determined to focus and close that gap so that you are predominantly in concert with your broader perspective, you will become addicted to alignment. There is a high from that you've not achieved in any other way. There's a high in clarity and a high in that love. There's a feeling of elation that is indescribable in consistent human terms when you get tuned in like that, but it is available to all of you, you see. But you have to care about how you feel, and you have to know, you have to understand what the process is. You have to know that the larger part of you is there holding that vibrational frequency, and that it is your job from your human perspective to tune to it, because it will not tune to where you are. That's sort of what your question implied. One day Esther was not feeling so good, and she knew why, and she said, Abraham, come over here with me for just a little while and give me some relief. And she knew she was kidding. She knew we weren't coming. She knew the absurdity of that statement, but she also knew that if we were not holding such high standards of well-being, that her mucking around in not well-being wouldn't be so painful. And we said, Esther, you can't go back. You know too much. You know too much. She's thinking about putting it on your disclaimers that you sign before you come into such a place. You're going to learn stuff and you can't go back. You're going to discover that you're going to know for a while that you are the creator of your own reality, and you're going to know that what you think matters a lot, and you're going to know that your emotions really matter. And for a while, negative emotion is really going to bug you more than it ever has before, because you're going to know what it means. You're out of sync with your own vortex, with your own desire. More important and better said, you're out of sync with who you really are, with who you have really become. You're allowing a gap between you and you that should not be tolerated by any of you. You shouldn't put up with it. Esther would say, well, I can stand a little orneriness and I can stand a little overwhelmment, but there are some things I really cannot stand. And so there were some things that were so painful when she thought about them that she learned not to ever think about them again. And then one night she was visiting with a friend, and they got talking about some of that stuff. And Esther sort of just opened up, sort of described some things that she had lived through. And the next morning when she woke up, she could hardly walk, because it had been such a debilitating experience to hold herself for a couple of hours out of sync with who she really is. And she thought, boy, I'm not ever going to do that again. And we say, we'd like you to feel that way about overwhelmment. We'd like you to feel that way about jealousy or about competition. We'd like you to feel that way about guilt or blame. We'd like you to feel that way about anything that doesn't feel really great. We'd like you to say, it's not worth it. I'm going to tune myself differently because I can. Because I can. Because you can. Just take some practice. Don't try to do it all at once, and start with easy things.
What benefit, Abraham, do you have to come through us to our physical universe? What benefit is it to you from beyond, from the source, from, because we are, like you say, we came into this world with all our intentions and our beliefs and all our, what we
Not all of
believe is
them.
true.
You came with some, but you came with the full intent of discovering others. You intended this to be a ground of discovery of your own evolution. And not because it needed to be done, but because it's fun.
True. It is very fun.
Because it's fun to do. Because it's fun to discover something. Don't you know that fresh feeling of desire? That feeling of waking up and really wanting to do something? And if that desire of wanting to do it is coupled with a belief that you can, oh, that's life-giving. That's how you felt when you decided to come, and when you came. That's how you're supposed to feel all the time. So ask your question again.
What benefit is it to you, Abraham, to come into our existence, our physical existence here on this earth,
well,
with humans?
How satisfying it is for us, how exhilarating it is for us to see you discover contrast, and to watch you discover your personal approach to improvement. And then we get to feel the launching of that rocket, and then we get to focus on it. It gets to be our reality long before it is yours. So we get to revel in the new expansion of the universe that you have provided, just like we're doing right now with the questions that you're asking. So here's this new, fresh desire. The universe has expanded and we're reveling in it. And then we get to stand there because we're disciplined and practiced, holding the vibrational frequency of that, rooting for you to find your place within it too. And when you miss, we don't care. But when you find it, we revel with you, and you feel the goosebumps. Some of you are getting them right now, aren't you? You feel the goosebumps rippling through you as you come into full alignment, not just with what you have wanted, but with who you really are and with us. So there's nothing that you can expand to that isn't our experience as well. So how is it that we're all in this together? You said, I'll go into the contrast where there's more discovery. And we said, and we'll stay in the pure alignment where there's more steady. And together we will take thought beyond that which it has been before. So you launch it. We ride the rocket with you. We hold the frequency of it. We give our undivided attention to what you want. We hold it so steady that if you deviate, and you are aware at all, you feel your own deviation. So you can tell what source feels, even though society may be saying something entirely different, or your parents may be saying something different, or your peers may be saying something different, or even your laws and rules may be saying something different. You can feel when you find that alignment. And when you find that alignment, oh, it's an alignment of well-being. You have universal forces assisting you, opening doors for you, inspiring you, watching out for you, giving you impulses. In other words, when you get tuned in, you live this charmed life that everyone wants to live, but it's not charmed in the sense that others aren't. It's charmed in the sense that you get to be joyful all of the time, feeling your empowerment and your clarity. Esther cannot find enough words to express the feeling of exhilaration that we feel as you are in this constant, eternal motion forward. To get it done? No, for the experience of moving in it, because we never get it done and you can't get it wrong, and we never get it done and you can't get it wrong, and you never get it done and you can't get it wrong, and we never get it done and we can't get it wrong, and we never get it done and we can't get it wrong, we never get it done, we never get it done, we never get it done. Contrast keeps presenting itself and new desires. Does that make you tired? If it makes you tired, then you're in resistance. If it makes you feel tired, then you're still of the mindset that you got to solve these problems and get that out of the way. But once you catch the spirit of this and you start riding the wave of this powerful energy, then you stand in a moment in time, looking around your world, seeing the perfection of it, in part because it is pretty perfect around you, but mostly because you're tuned to the perfection, and that's what you see. And that's what you see, and that's what you feel. In other words, you are those who love. Loving is your most natural state of being. And when for any reason, for any length of time, you are in a state of something less than love, you are diminished from who you are. And we know you want to explain, Esther does too, but Abraham, apparently you need more information about that person. That person is really hard to love. But there is nothing that you could say or focus upon or live that would cause us to deviate from our true knowing of who they are, you see. And that is a really nice way to be. A nice way to be.